Welcome back to Girly Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, ooh. Okay, this is episode 4. Welcome. We're chilling. It's kind of late. We have our little coffees.
Yes.
I don't know. It's chill vibes right now. Chill vibes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this week's topic is feminism and dating. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and kick it off. Football term for the feminism episode. Kicking it off.
Yes.
All right. So I think we're gonna start with what is feminism. So, Jazz, what is feminism to you? Off the cuff.
Off the cuff. Feminism is the right for me to practice being not just a woman, but being myself. Like, knowing and understanding that I have the ability to think for myself, act for myself, and advocate for myself. Like, that's what feminism means to me, is to be able to stand in my power and also empower other people around me to do that for themselves.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I feel like feminism gets a bad rap, right? Like the word feminism, like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you're a feminist. And it's like, do you even really know what feminism means? I mean, yes, it has, fem, and it's like female based, which is already like, misogyny, but but like to be feminist, like, yeah, I say it gets a bad rap, but really essentially what it means, it literally just means gender equality.
Yeah, I think, like, when I was younger and I would hear people say I'm a feminist, I would just automatically think that they would take on this aggressive role to say, like, no, like, I can do it for myself, or I'm that boss girl. Like, I don't know why it was so, like, marketed to us in a certain way that it's really not even like that, like.
Yeah, it's like feminism had to be aggressive and in your face, like how you're saying. It's like you had to wear it on your sleeve rather than, like earlier, I was making the joke about like Avril Lavigne, that clip of her where she's like, it's not punk to say that you're punk. That's how I said I feel about feminism. Like, it's not feminist to say you're feminist, because like, why wouldn't you be a feminist? Like, why wouldn't you not only stand up for women, but stand up for anyone?
Yeah.
So yeah. So what is feminism? So that's our little like intro to what we kind of see as feminism. But we were talking about white feminism versus feminism for women of color, and how that looks different. So do you want to give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was telling Maya earlier that when we say white feminism, I think that a lot of times what that looks like to white people, I don't know why it feels like a bad word to say, but that's what you guys are, just like I'm black. But it really is like, it's this experience of thinking about feminism just as a singular experience, and thinking about what you can get out of people meeting your needs, versus understanding that not only are you supposed to be advocating for your rights, but for people that don't look like you. And I think with white feminism, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like, that person said something mean to me. They're not a girl's girl. I love women. It's not really rooted in the inequality that a lot of women of color face. And I think that what I was telling Maya, when you have the complexion for protection, it's easier to just say, like, oh, well, that's not my experience. I don't have to deal with that because that doesn't relate to me.
Yeah, and I think about it historically too, like even looking at like women's suffrage, gaining the right to vote. I think it was like 1920 or something like that, whenever women gained the right to vote, but that was just for white women, black women still didn't have the right to vote. They just still didn't have that civil liberty.
Right.
So historically, it is different. It's not just like what you were saying, that like catty surface level of like not gossiping about another woman, but it's that it's standing up for every woman regardless of, you know, her skin color, for her to have that right just as a woman.
To embody what femininity should be, which is feeling safe enough within your body to express what womanhood looks like to that person, you know? And I was talking to Maya about how, like, a lot of times because of the spaces that we as women of color aren't given for safety, like, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Like, with having autonomy over our body, right?
Yeah.
There are so many different conversations that take place within a medical setting for women of color that I don't feel like happen for white women, you know? And I don't know where I was going with that. I just
whenever you're talking about the healthcare system, how women of color, patients of color often are, you know, discarded because
yes, sorry, I'm like losing it.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So because of that happening within communities of color, I feel like sometimes it doesn't feel safe to be like in your womanhood. Like sometimes you do take on like these more masculine roles because the people that should be advocating for you in those spaces aren't there. So I think that what feminism looks to a white woman is completely different to how it looks for us, because they do have that safe space, and like we were saying, their emotions are readily accepted and tolerated in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Versus a woman of color saying like, I don't like that, and it automatically being like, oh, she's a bitch, or like she was a lot. She was very aggressive, and there's a version of ourselves that I feel like we have to mask in a certain way. Because I have noticed that in certain environments where there are women that are white women or people that look differently than me, if I'm any shape or form, like if any of my emotions are at an all-time high, then I'm automatically deemed the aggressor, you know? So I think that
that angry black woman stereotype.
Yeah,
and like how I said earlier, like white women's tears are usually the norm, and white women's tears can even be dangerous.
Yes.
Like they're valued, I would say.
Yeah, I think that they're believed instantaneously. Like whatever the story is, it's in favor of them outright. And then it's almost like you have to do this covering of yourself. Like you have to make sure you have stuff notated, you have, you know, the facts laid out, and you cannot be in this emotional state, because then you are wrong, like automatically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that feminism looks different and in different homes and cultures and backgrounds, and I think that's what it should be, is saying like, hey, I want to stand in my power, and I also want to see other women, whether that be a lesbian, trans, white, you know, black, Hispanic, whoever it is, you would want that same power that you have and hold within yourself to be given to another person, not just you.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think also whenever I think of feminism, I think of, like I have in my notes, misogyny. I think of like feminism as that way to battle misogyny, right? Misogyny is so ingrained in our society, and even in us as women, I mean, that's where you get pick-me's from, you know?
Yeah.
It manifests in those seemingly small ways of like, you see yourself in competition with other women rather than in sisterhood.
Yes.
Right.
And it's hard not to be a pick-me, too, because I feel like, girl, we all walk that road of a pick-me, you know? Because you become conditioned to live for the validation of people around you, you know? Especially as a woman. So you kind of, as a pick-me girl, like, you dumb down, like, what it is that you are as a person. You'll, like, I don't have to wear that much makeup. Like, I'm so chill. Like, I can get ready so quick.
Yeah,
She's crying.
Girl.
Yeah. And it's like, ew. When I hear that, I'm automatically just like, oh, you're an enemy. Like, I'm in enemy territory. Like, stop talking to me.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I am going to talk about Vanderpump. Like, that's why there's a girl on there, Sheena Shea, for y'all who do know.
Yeah.
And Sheena Shea, I mean, she has a lot of haters, and I feel like it's because, especially, so I'm only on season 5. I just got to the reunion of season 5, okay?
Only. How long have you been watching the show? Because it's gone by fast, right?
There's like 10 seasons. More than 10 seasons.
But you've been going through it really quick, right?
Yeah, okay, but I don't like sit and just watch it. Like, I just leave it on while I like do the dishes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Same, I feel.
So it's kind of background, and I mean, I understand the storylines. Anyway, so Miss Sheena Shea, that's why I haven't liked her. I've been a Sheena hater because she literally was like, yeah, I'm a guy's girl. Like, she very much had that energy, embodied that energy. But also, the other women on that show, their feminism isn't top tier either, because yeah, they get so catty with each other and they gossip about each other. And in the first season, Kristen and Katie are like taking Jax's side over Stassi's side whenever Stassi's like coming to them about like all the messed up things that Jax has done to her in their relationship.
Right.
And they're like not taking Stassi's side at all because they're friends with Jax. Like, Kristen is friends with Jax. And she's just taking his side, and she will not like accept that Stassi is like not overreacting about Jax's behavior. And so I mean, yeah, it's just very interesting to watch their feminism in that way, like their lack thereof, right?
Yeah.
How they interact with each other. And then Katie is mad whenever Lala comes in because she's like calling her a whore and stuff. She's like, look, her Twitter profile pic is like her ass, like she's a whore.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my god, like these girls, like,
It's high school?
yeah, it's so high school. It's so high school.
But I'm not gonna lie, I like drama when it's not my own.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. And yeah, it's just so interesting to see how these women interact with each other, treat other women, you know?
Right. I do think though, like, it's hard too because I don't know where it came from to naturally check myself whenever I would experience like my own discontentment, to be like, okay, it's not her fault. Like, anytime I would be in relationship with men, I never was like, oh, like, let me go fight the bitch. Like, let me check her.
Yeah.
It was always like, that's the person that I'm in relationship with. He's the one I need to hold responsible. If he has a crush on her, that's not her fault. Like, she's pretty.
That's such a weird energy. Yeah, and on Vanderpump, the girls do that a lot. It's like, oh, you cheated on my boyfriend, or instead of my boyfriend cheated on me with you. It's like,
yeah,
no, you cheated on me with my boyfriend.
Right.
It's like they take ownership of that man, and like, but they don't blame him, but instead they're mad at her for sleeping with him, even though he's probably the one that was like, oh yeah, I'm single.
Because the man knows about both women. You don't know if that woman knows about you. You don't know her intention. Her loyalty isn't to you, which, yeah, if she did do it, you know, knowing that he had a girlfriend, that is messed up. But at the same time, you can't check her. Like, that has nothing to do with you. And just like little things, like if I find myself like looking sideways at another woman, I'm like, okay, why is her standing in her power making me feel weird? I must want to do that. I have a part of me inside of me that wants to be a bad bitch, wants to wear makeup, wants to, show my body in certain ways, And I don't know where it came from, but I feel like societally we've been groomed to look at the next woman because of the men, that we had around us, saying these things because men, when they can't get a woman's energy or exploit a woman for what it is that he wants her for, he starts to shame her.
Right.
So then we pick up that lingo and we start shaming each other.
Yeah.
Because we're watching the people that are supposed to be our mentors and the men in charge shame women when really we don't have the life lessons to know he's a loser. He actually can't get her, and he's just trying to make her feel like a loser because he can't pull her on his own terms,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that internalized misogyny within women, like, that makes us within competition with each other and even hate ourselves. Like, I guess I feel like now I don't really have a whole lot of internalized misogyny. Maybe when I was younger, like, for some reason, what I think of is I this is the only explanation I have for it, like internalized misogyny, is that for some reason I would not admit to the fact that I was a fan of Hannah Montana.
Girl!
Yeah. I did not want that to be public knowledge. And I was like so against liking High School Musical or the Jonas Brothers or just anything like that, or like the color pink. I was like so against like being girly.
I was against pink too.
There was a time where I wanted to be so bad like a tomboy, but I knew deep in my heart like I am a girly girl. But I was just like scared to like be that. And I don't know if it's internalized misogyny or if it's like also like just being a lesbian and not knowing it at 8 or 7 or however old I was,
Yeah.
And so I don't know, that's just kind of what I think of. But
yeah. Okay, so I feel like too, not that I was trying to be a pick-me by not liking pink, but it was just like you would watch so many girls around you like say like the same thing in a way to where you would be like, okay, like I want to be different.
yeah,
Like I want to be celebrated. Yeah, I can remember having pajama day at school, and I didn't tell my mom so I could wear my platform boots and my sparkly jeans.
On pajama day?
Yeah, just so I could be different. Like,
so funny.
I don't know if it had anything to do with like misogyny or anything like that. I just wanted to stand out in my own way, and I think maybe, as I got into middle school and stuff like that, trying to put myself back into a box that I didn't want to be in, which was like the roles that they force on us in a way,
Yeah. So also for misogyny, I have witches in quotes, because I'm pretty sure like witches is the term that like men gave women whenever they learned like math and shit and they burned them at the stake, I mean, no, legit, like the Salem witch trials, like those women were
attractive. What?
They were attractive. I don't know about their physical appearance, but I mean, I'm sure they were smart. I'm sure they were educated. I'm sure they knew how to read and write. I'm sure maybe they might have been doing a spell or two. Okay. But like, for y'all to burn, like, they didn't burn witches. They burned women.
Oh, yeah.
They burned women.
I had saw where they said that they would burn these women because they were so attracted to them that it made them want to cheat on their wives.
Oh.
And so I was like, no, what? What? But it does make sense. It does make sense, because I'm sure if they could get away with doing it in real life, real time right now, it would happen. That's why we had Red Pill podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. The Red Pill men. Okay, but also, witches, kind of that point, but more I want to talk about intuition.
Yeah.
Because obviously we can see, or we have been able to recognize now that we're not living like women aren't. Okay. In the United States, well, I can't even say that. I can't even say women aren't oppressed because that's just not true. It's not true for any country in the world right now, other than maybe like Sweden or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I bet it's going nice over there.
Okay, anyways. Intuition.
Yes.
Intuition is inherently, it seems to be a very feminine quality. A lot of women are naturally tapped into some type of intuition, some type of, intuitive quality, right?
Right.
Women are more internal, we're more emotional, and men are more outward and physical, right? These things aren't bad, they just are. That's just how things are. But these feminine qualities have been, I would say, demonized, or made negative, made to be, maybe I'm going to use the word hysterical because I'm thinking specifically of like mental institutions in the 1930s and the 1950s, like whenever we didn't have like good modern science and they were still doing lobotomies, right? Like the word hysterical is like a medical term they would give to women experiencing, I don't know, some kind of mental episode, mental illness, whatever, some kind of, maybe not even a mental illness, but some kind of spiritual download is what I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
Right? Like our intuition is demonized and like maleized.
Yeah.
In a way that we look crazy. They make us look crazy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think of when I think of witches. Like, we're made to look crazy and evil for just being naturally tapped into the supernatural element of Earth.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of jealousy that men have, whether they want to admit it or not,
yes.
but our religious systems are proof that they're jealous of us, because I've seen on TikTok this point of like, men had to create religion in order to feel close to God because women already are close to God.
Yeah.
Just based on the fact that they have a womb.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, of course, I'm talking about cisgender women. And whenever we talk about feminism, I do want to recognize people who are not cisgender women, right? Just feminine people in general.
Right.
That feminine energy is just tapped into your intuition.
Yeah.
And you're able to live in that energy. And that has been demonized so much by this patriarchal society. We're made to look crazy.
Right.
And religion furthers that.
Yes, I think that is the experience of being a woman. Like, you get exploited for that emotional element, right? Because you have to be giving to the men around you, the women around you, children, but let you have that same energy for yourself, and you're an awful person. Like, you're so selfish. You're so worried about making yourself happy that nobody else can love you. And it sucks because a lot of our experience is how we're in servitude to other people. Like, how we can give back to other people so that they can mirror to us that we are worth something and that we are valued in some sort of way. But it's almost like we have to come last within that in order to experience love.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about whenever we were talking about motherhood.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's essentially, yeah, you're right. That is what being a woman is. Being a woman is living your life for other people. And whenever we are, I don't even want to say selfish. Whenever we do live for whenever we live for ourselves, whenever we live like a man.
Yeah.
Whenever we live like a man, and like Beyonce says, if I were a boy, I would turn off my phone and they would think I was sleeping alone.
Bro,
girl,
why is that the song that I've been listening to so much this week?
I freaking
and I want to sing it so bad. I'm like, what? How did you know?
Dude, I don't know. We've been connected today. Ever since you showed up, we've been like psychic.
Yes.
If I were a boy, like, life would be so easy. They have it so easy.
Yeah, and I can see the argument that they have, because I know it's coming up, but talking about their roles that they have to play.
Okay, but I want to talk more about motherhood, though. I want to talk more about though, yeah, the way it is, we're expected to give up ourselves and what motherhood is, right? Because I told you that it's a no for me, dog. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Unfortunately, I do want to be selfish for the rest of my life. I do.
Yeah.
I love the idea. I was telling David this at the party. I was like, I love the idea of
Being the rich auntie.
being the rich auntie, and yeah, I like it. People are always like, oh, I don't like other people's kids. Why? You don't have to go home with them.
Right.
Like, you can hang out with them for a little bit and then go home with their parents, because that's someone else's kid. It's not my
Yeah.
kid. And I like that. I like that. I like other people's kids because I can just hang out with them. Hey, have my little baby fever moment, and then they go home.
Get out of here.
Yeah, or I leave,
Squirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that.
I get the good parts of having a kid or
Yeah.
children.
And I think like watching the women around me, like, I feel like, yes, moms are literally the glue that holds everything together.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's like, because of the fact that men are enabled, right? Like, and I got this. Me and Maya were having this conversation once, and it's always stuck with me, like what she said. I started to make an excuse for a man, and she was like, no, because they can think for themselves. Like, the fact that you are enabling this, they have minds. Like, they know what they're doing. They're just choosing to do that. And I feel like that's men in marriages. Like, a lot of moms, they get married to these men, but they're really single mothers in their marriage. Like, why isn't the house done when mom comes home? Why did mom have to stay up to help the kids with homework? Why is dad only seen as just going to work and coming home and not being emotionally vested into his family? That's because we've enabled men. We've allowed them to do the bare fucking minimum and think that that was good enough for us and our children, when really, like I was telling Maya, to love somebody is a lot of work. It is saying, like, I love the best parts of you and the worst parts of you, and I'm going to be there even when I can't give 100%. I'm going to still do my best. But men, for some reason, it's not taught to them that they have to be that way in a relationship.
I'm pretty sure I've said before that I want to be a dad.
Yeah. Never heard this. The way she just always pulls the carpet out from under me. I'll be like, ooh.
Like you want to be biologically connected to something, you want to have a biological child, but you don't want that responsibility of being a mother.
Yeah.
You want to be a dad.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying fathers can't be, like,
emotionally vested.
Yeah. Because I think my dad was kind of an example of that. I would say I had a more emotional relationship with my father than I did my mother.
Yeah.
So
I do feel like I love like a dad. Like, I feel like I'm very factual and logical, and like, we need to solve this.
Right.
I do learn a lot, like I said, from Maya and my sister, because they have that emotional element to them that I kind of am like, I just want to laugh.
And I don't even know why. Okay, so this makes me think of a couple things.
Yeah.
I just have had some downloads. I'm a Cancer woman, and I feel like at my core I'm supposed to be a mother. But I love having pets. I have my dog, I have my chameleon.
Yeah.
I had a cat. This is my second chameleon, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like to nurture. But as far as having children goes,
right,
I just feel like for some reason that specific journey is not meant for me.
Right. And that's fair.
And yeah, and like, I need to reassure myself in that, because I don't know, I just feel like as a woman still, you're like so conditioned to be like, no, but I'm supposed to be a mother. And so I don't want to feel like, am I missing out on something?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I really try to think about what it would be like to have something that looks like me and have to raise another human being.
Yes.
And it doesn't materialize for me. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like, yes, that's in my path. Like, for me, my future has always felt like unwritten, you know? It's still, what's that song? It's still unwritten.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, that song.
You know how, like, those tarot readers are like, those tarot readers are like, I'm starting to hear a song. That's what you said. I hear a song. I don't know why I'm hearing, like, Unwritten by Natasha, but...
I can't believe you just said that. That's so funny. That was really good.
But yeah, I think that raising kids is hard as fuck.
Oh yeah, no, like definitely 100%. It looks
When I see women do it, I'm like, you look stressed out. Like, you look
stressed out, tired.
Yes.
Miserable.
Yeah, especially if you're
defeated.
Because you have your kids becoming their own entity, like they're their own person, right?
Right.
And you're also their person.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the person that you're supposed to turn to, which is supposed to be the dad, isn't doing their role in the partnership. So it really is you being the bad guy while also trying to be the nurturer, while also trying to hold down your role in whatever community it is that you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really has been put on the moms to become super women, you know, and the dads get to just do the bare minimum and then people celebrate them.
Right.
I saw this one story on TikTok that was like,
TikTok.
Yeah, because you get to experience so many different perceptions and life experiences because of this app, you know. And this guy, this girl lost her mother, right?
Oh, okay.
And she said, I did not realize how much my mom did until she left.
Oh,
because every year that she would get presents from her parents.
Yeah, parents.
And her, like, little letters from her parents.
Aww.
It was her mom doing all of this, right?
Aww, yeah.
And just would be, like, from mom and dad.
Aww,
because one parent had the intention to show up enough for their child while the dad was just there.
Being a man. Yeah, exactly. He's just there. He's just there.
Yeah. I think that's what's so scary about it all. Like, do I want a partner? Yeah. Because everybody wants somebody to come home to, I feel like, and to experience life with, and feel like there's somebody out there that has your back no matter what. And yes, don't get me wrong, I do feel that in my community of women, but it's different when it's you and another person working at both your goals in life to have one unified goal. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I would rather die by myself than to just get into a relationship with a man just because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Oh, this is something that I didn't say earlier. Okay, so it's talking about being a Cancer woman. So growing up, I was in the same house, same neighborhood, and next door we had a neighbor. Her name's Carla, but she goes by the nickname Sparky. So that's why I always call her Sparky. And we have the same birthday. Of course, we're 50 years apart, but we have the same birthday. Yeah.
Cute.
And she's always lived in that neighborhood, or not always, but like she lived in the neighborhood for a long time. She still lives there. But she, as long as I've known her, she doesn't have any kids. She's never been married or anything. And I don't know why, like, I never thought about it before until now.
Yeah.
That having that person in my life, I feel like that was meant for me to see, like, a woman just living.
Yeah.
You know? Without a partner, without children, like, just
yes.
living.
And that probably was such a badass thing for her to do, because women of that age, they don't really take on that role. And there are a lot of people around them of the same age that I feel like shame people that don't want the same things in life as they do.
Right.
Okay, so I feel like this is a good segue into speaking about men in our episode about women. No, but unfortunately, we do have to speak about men because we're talking about dating too, right?
Yeah.
And we were kind of hinting at it whenever we're talking about these fathers who are just kind of there, and it brings me to what do I have? I have why are men confused? Because why are men confused that them just simply showing up and being handsome is not enough?
Right.
That is where so many men stop. They stop at that. And I will say that the patriarchy has allowed for men to be mediocre, for them to be bare minimum, because like I was telling you, they are just men, so many cis men. That's who we're talking about. We're talking about the cis straight men.
Yeah.
You know, red pill, Joe Rogan podcast men.
Right.
Our enemies. We're coming for you. But these men, they really just live in what society says a man has to be, and they just stop there. They don't add on any books or information or ideology or hobbies or opinions. They just regurgitate what they all each say.
Which is so funny to me, because as much as it's taught that men are leaders,
Yeah.
I feel like they, like you said, they all do what each other say.
I just saw a TikTok of this woman who was making exactly that point of like, men, we say that men are leaders, men are our leaders. We live in a patriarchal society, obviously.
Right.
But she made such a good freaking point, and I've never thought about this before.
Is it the black lady?
No, it was some random white lady, I think.
Oh.
Sorry to disappoint.
I don't know why. I thought it was the one lady that I always see on TikTok, always going on about men.
Oh, I do know who you're talking about, though. I know who you're talking about.
She's got the accent, kind of like a country accent.
Yeah, maybe.
With the hat.
The hat? Okay, maybe I don't know who you're talking about. Anyways. This white woman that I saw, she made the point of, hold on, let me think about, let me get the point right. Okay. She was saying, oh, okay, so your entire life you're told, oh, boys are just boys, girls are more mature, she's like that way, she's more mature because she's a girl, and he's like that because he's a boy, and
right.
And it goes through elementary school and middle school and high school and even into college. Oh, you know, of course the frat boys are going to act like that, but, you know, women are more mature, they're, you know, they're going to do better or whatever because they're women, like,
yeah.
But when does that switch happen? And even in the fathers, oh, even in marriage, you know, you marry, and oh, the woman is supposed to take care of the house and the kids and the whatever. So when are men supposed to be leaders? When do men lead? When do men step up? How are they these natural born leaders whenever they're never treated that way or expected to be that way?
Right.
Women are.
And they are kind of coddled from birth, you know, like there are these excuses that are made for them, like you said, boys will be boys, or the fact that within the home the girls are the ones responsible for keeping things orderly. The guys, you know, they're allowed to just come home, do their homework, and then that's it. They're not really held to like any system. And it's funny, like looking at my brothers, you know, that we have.
Yeah.
And me and my sister, we're very different from our brothers. Like, I do know why it happened, but.
So were you raised that way in your household, like very gendered?
Yes. So there were some times when my mom would check me because I would be like, "No, that's for a dude to do." But then they would be like, "You're not guaranteed a husband, you know, like you don't know if you're going to get one or not."
Right.
Which, okay, cool. Like that's right. But I do remember seeing my mom make excuses for my brothers in ways that she shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And so they grew into men that would act on their emotions more often than not.
Yeah, they get to throw temper tantrums.
Yes.
They get to throw temper tantrums.
And instead of my mom being like, actually, no, like, you're being an idiot, she would be like, I don't know why somebody would say that. Like, and it's so funny because it's not like that with me and my sister. Like, it's very, like you said with Vanderpump, they are, I don't know if the mothers have just been taught to hold their daughters to a different standard, but it's not like, it's not this enabling that happens or like this validation that happens of the feelings. It's more so like you take the side of whoever is on the opposite side, you know, and you make the people that are women around you question themselves versus taking their side the first time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I do definitely know there is a difference between me and my brothers and my sister. And I do think that it has a lot to do with the structures of our society. Like, men are really allowed to get away with doing the bare minimum. And I would have that same thought process if it wasn't for this young lady. Like, I would still be like, oh, well, he didn't know. Like, oh, well, he's trying his best. And she's like, shut your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I guess, you know, we can kind of relate it to, like, kind of the Love Island we were talking about, you know, like all the dating shows that we see. Like, we just see that men are, yeah, like, they don't give anything. They don't give any substance. Right? They're just kind of there. They just kind of exist. And they're just like, oh, I'm a man. I do man things. I'm a man.
Hear me roar.
Here we go. And that's it. That's all they give. They just give man, and they don't give anything else.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Boring.
Because
Why? Give me something.
I feel like that probably is the biggest challenge with dating right now, is that, you know, us as women collectively, I feel like we're pushing ourselves knowledge-wise, like mental health-wise, we're expanding so much as young women and really standing in our power. And for some reason, the men are at a standstill. Like, I'm not saying all of them are like...
This is my theory, okay? This is what I think about. So, women have been oppressed. Yes, we still are in some ways, but we have a lot of freedoms. You know, we have my little fact here that women weren't able to get a credit card until 1974. 1974. I mean, for us, like, 1974 is like ages ago, but in 1974, my mom was born in 71. So in 74, she was 3, but like, still, she was alive. She was born. You know, my mother.
It's not as far away as we thought it.
Exactly. It's not. So our grandmothers didn't have these rights. You know, getting a credit card, like, that's a big thing. Now women can get as many credit cards as they want. They can put themselves in credit card debt, you know?
Yeah.
But it's this thing. So here's my theory. So my theory is that women have been oppressed.
Yes.
They have had to overcome these societal challenges.
Right.
On the reverse, men, this world is made for them, right? This is a man's world. Everything belongs to them, you know, in their in their eyes. Everything belongs to them in their eyes. This world is made for them. They are supposed to just be born and, you know, be entitled to it all, especially with white men. This is how they see the world, I would say. So men don't have to think about themselves in relation to everyone else in society the way that women do, or men of color, or just other minorities, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to think about where am I placed in society? How do I relate to other people? They never have to think beyond themselves. And I think now, because we're at a point where, and of course we're talking about our country, because in the back of my head, I have the Taliban, which, is where women are not allowed to speak right now in Afghanistan, right? It's 2025. Women are not allowed to speak in another country right now in the world. Okay.
I would just cry.
But I'm talking about America.
Yeah.
Where I'm talking into a podcast microphone and I have this right to speak and to have this platform.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not oppressed in the ways that I have been, that I would have been in 1910.
Right.
Right. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
We're not oppressed in the same ways that our ancestors were oppressed.
Right. So women are now living in a time where we have these rights and these things afforded to us and these equalities.
Yeah.
Right? In some realm, in some way, shape, or form, we have these equalities.
Mm-hmm.
Finally. And we're finally able to, we have degrees. We're accomplishing things.
Yeah.
Because we're allowed in the room without a man's permission.
Right.
So we are accomplishing things. We are doing things for ourselves. We are finding our hobbies and finding who we are.
Yes.
Without regards for
men.
For men, what is a man going to think about this, right? Men, they are still living how they have been living for the past 100 years.
Right.
There's nothing until now whenever women are closing their legs and getting their degrees and saying, no, I want more than just the bare minimum. Now these men are reacting to this.
Yeah.
Right? They're reacting to women saying, no, you need to bring more to the table. This is not 50-50.
Right. Because, okay, I think that some men will look at us saying, like, we don't want 50-50 as us being, like, entitled to. But when you think about the emotional labor that a woman has to do within a household.
Yeah, because they're not bringing 50-50 because they're not bringing that emotional aspect.
Yeah.
So really, you're not even bringing me the full 50.
Really, it's like 120 and 30. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's the fact that a woman has to already maneuver through the world, like, especially women of color. Let's start from, like, that, because that is our experience. A woman of color, you have to go out. You have to play the nice girl a lot of times because societally, if you're not nice, you're the bitch, and the bitch does not get opportunities because nobody wants to advocate for her because she's a mean person, but really she's not mean. She's just setting boundaries and standing in her power. So then her reputation precedes her as somebody that's hard to work with, argumentative, and that's not what we want. So we want to open doors. We want to get the opportunities. So, we have to do a lot of mental work throughout the day, right? Plus on top of the physical labor that our job is asking and requiring us to do, right? Then you come home and you have your families that basically are expecting this emotional element out of you after you're drained. Your day has depleted you of any energy whatsoever. And your family's still kind of, it's almost like a woman is like laid out on a table, and after she comes home for the day, she's like so tired. People are still taking pieces of her. Like, and then on top of that, the man is like, did you cook dinner? Like, why is the house a mess? What do you mean Junior didn't get his homework done? What do you mean, like, you forgot to pay the water bill?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
It's like having another child on top of your children, and like we talk about TikTok and how, and we see women come to TikTok and like try to make jokes about like having an incompetent husband. And it's just like, no, girl, that's not funny.
And I think a lot of times they don't even know, like, from me watching those TikTok videos, a lot of them will show videos of their husband, and you can tell the husband wholeheartedly hates them. wishes that was not there. I think what it is that a man will settle for what he can get when he can't get what he wants.
Yeah.
And so you can tell when a man tolerates a woman, and he makes her pay in every single sort of way for loving him when he doesn't even love himself.
Yeah. Seriously, let's talk about what's wrong with men. Yeah, they don't love themselves. They don't respect themselves, because let's really think about it. You know, the joke is that like so many men will just like stick it in anything, you know?
Yeah, they will.
And that's not self-respect. You don't love yourself if you're just willing to sleep with anyone and everyone. That's not cute. Like, that's gross.
Right. But and again, it comes back to them being like, that's my boy. Like, do it up, son. Spread your oats, man. Get out there in the world and do the thing, you know?
No, but you're dirty and you're not going to the clinic. I know you're not.
Yeah, not teaching them that you can contract STDs that are, undetectable, that you don't even know live dormant in your body because you haven't been taught to sexually protect yourself. You're lying down with women, making babies, and basically putting these children into broken homes because you refuse to heal that ugly part of yourself, so you're already creating a line of brokenness behind you.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, sex within our society isn't talked about as something that's intimate. Like, something that
like
should be thought about. Like, it should be approached in a... And I'm not saying you have to be, like, sexually responsible all the time, because I know, like...
No, but
people can be promiscuous.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I did want to talk about this, because we kind of talked about it earlier about like women being, you know, that you say you're liberating yourself through doing an OnlyFans, or not, even if it doesn't have to be that extreme, you know, like wearing a tight dress, a short dress, I mean me, in the club,
right?
You know, like, is that liberation? Is that, you know, are you doing that for yourself? Like, because men are still looking at you, they still see you as a sex object.
Yeah.
So I think that is a conversation I want to talk about, that, like, that mindset, because okay, let me relate it to myself. Let me just tell you my own mindset about this. Okay, so I'm a queer woman.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not really looking for male attention or male validation.
Right.
I'm living for myself. I'm living in my feminine energy. When I go out, I do like to dress how I want to dress, and sometimes that is a short, tight dress in the club.
Yeah.
Because I feel good. I like to look at myself in the mirror and think I look good. And
yes.
You know what? If a guy does come up to me and compliment me, tells me whatever, that does boost my ego, and maybe I do like that, and maybe I do want that. Right. That doesn't mean I need to go home and sleep with him.
Yeah.
But so in a way, that does kind of like liberate me in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it does give me self-confidence and self-worth in a way. You know, it might sound bad to say that, but like, it does give you a little bit of self-worth. It's fun to be young and hot.
Yeah,
so I'm
it
gonna
is.
Be young and hot.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna live in that while I can.
Yes.
But
I think it's about the intention.
Mindset.
Yes.
It is. It's about the mindset. It's about the intention. Because back to Vanderpump. Oh my God, I need to stop watching this fucking Vanderpump. But Kristen.
Yes.
Kristen, she's crazy, first of all, but she got what is it called? Veneers. Okay.
Yes.
Talking about veneers, she said, men still look at me. Girl, you got veneers for men? You drilled in your mouth for men?
Yeah.
Like, that's a wild mindset to have. Like, if she would have gotten veneers, if she would have said, like, oh yeah, I've never liked my teeth, so I got new teeth. Like,
right.
Okay, girl, work.
That would make sense.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But saying you got veneers because men might look at you,
yes,
is crazy.
I think, yeah, like what you were saying, it does come back to the intention, because even when I do... Buzz, why are you doing like that?
He's licking.
Oh. There are certain things that are feminine, right? Like dressing in dresses, or like wearing certain things to church, right?
Right.
I don't know what it was in my childhood, and even now, like, I do resonate with being a woman, but like my version of a woman, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
And so I am not like super girly, and sometimes I do feel like out of my body when I do dress like a woman.
Okay.
I mean, well, not like a woman, but like super hyper feminine, if that's...
Exactly. There are different ways to exist as being a woman, just like as being a man, but you know, like sexuality is a spectrum, gender is a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Like I now being confident in myself and who I am and my sexuality, I love being feminine. I love being hyper feminine. Like that's my shit. Like I literally told Jocelyn, I was like, I want a pink wedding. She was like, no. I'm like, what about? I was like, what about like a salmony pink, like an orangey pink?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just want everything to be pink now.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I did kind of accept the fact that I am like a maximalist, because I think that I've always tried to like dull myself down in a way.
Really?
Because of like not my personality. My personality's always been like really loud.
Yeah.
But like
But your fashion.
Yeah,
Your
my
style.
fashion and just what I wanted out of life, you know?
Right.
Because it was like, oh, you're so annoying, that's too much. And I'm just like, okay, well, actually, I do actually want to be an extra ass bitch. Like, I enjoy being like loud and vicarious, you know, like being all that I can be versus like just somebody there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like fashion and style, rather than dressing for men or for whoever's gaze. Really, you should just be dressing for yourself. Like that's what your fashion, your style should be.
Yeah.
And dang it, I had something else, but I forgot.
Yeah. But I've told myself, you know what? I don't care if I look ridiculous out taking photos. I don't care if I look crazy, like wearing a fur coat to like an office or something. Like I want to be extra as fuck. That literally is, I feel like it's in my DNA to be just like too much.
Yes, to just be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like...
Oh, that's what it was. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was about fashion. Again, a TikTok. It was this woman, but she was talking kind of more about like, I don't really know what the... Anyways. Comparing men and women's fashion, right? Like women are usually, we're more intriguing to look at. Our fashion is more intriguing to look at because it's more artistic. It's more stylized. It's more about what we're wearing and the look, right? And then men, they get to just be men whenever they dress. They're just in their little suit and whatever, and they don't have like the same, they're not dressed up, they're not like objectified in the same way, I guess. Right? Like our fashion is objectified to where we become an art piece rather than a human. And men are still just human. They're still just men whenever they dress.
Yeah, it's why like in a marriage, like a man can become unattractive, or like he can be unattractive in the beginning, and the first thing that's told to a woman is, you know, he's a good man.
Yeah.
You know, he's a nice kid.
But again, they're never serving. They're not giving cunt.
Yeah.
They're never serving anything.
It's like Mr. Potato Head, like straight up.
Exactly. And that's my point. Like, if I have a boyfriend, he needs to be gay. Because I want a man who can match my, like...
Fly.
Yes.
And honestly, when I think about it, I am attracted to men who have, like... They're
flamboyant.
Like, yes,
they have style.
Yes. Men that are super charismatic and out there. Men that are comfortable in going against the grain. And I saw once where it said that the qualities that you're attracted to in another person are attributes that you already possess. You're just putting that onto somebody else. And I'm like, okay, that means I do want to be this out there bitch. I'm just like I'm trying to dull myself down to put myself into a box that makes other people comfortable.
Right.
But that's not how I want to express my femininity. That's not how I want to be as a woman. And me stepping into that would mean that I would have to step into my confidence, which why wouldn't I want that?
Yeah. Also, I feel like being a woman just invites a whole different type of energy from the world. You know,
Yeah.
just wherever you go, like being a woman. And I don't know, maybe just, do I want to say pretty privilege? Like, you know, being a beautiful woman, maybe being a young, beautiful woman is just like, you just feel eyes on you. You feel like,
The envy,
yeah.
the jealousy. Me and the lady that I was telling you I went to coffee with today, we were talking about how when people are jealous of you and they're envious of you, it just means that there's a part of you that they want to experience, right? That they want to get to know because they want to take that part for themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, yeah, what is it about? Because we can see men stand in their power and be like super confident, and they're beating on their chest, you know, like they're very loud about it. But for some reason, a woman that is like, oh yeah, like I know I'm fine as fuck.
Yeah.
Or oh yeah, like I know I got that.
Yeah.
You know, it automatically is a side eye. Like there's something about the woman that people deem as ugly because she is confident.
Yeah.
Which the only person that I can really look at to as an example of just them standing in their power and being confident and being hot and dressing the way I want is Rihanna. Like I feel like she has been so authentically herself through and through. Like if you really think about who she is as a person, there wasn't really a blueprint. Like she's just always followed what she wanted to do. Like sound wise, she sounds different. How she dresses is different from what we're taught as women to dress like.
Yeah.
She talks back. And I was like, I look up to that. Like I really want to be like that. And I don't feel like I have to be in proximity to her or to be friends with her to experience that. I can just give it to myself. And I think that's what women haven't been taught to do. We think that we have to take something from each other versus just stepping into our power.
Yeah, and it's kind of goes back to like that quote selfishness, right? Like whenever women are, like how you said, like whenever they do just step into their power, or they do just like assert themselves, or you know, whenever we just simply live, like it is seen as selfish. We are seen as, oh, why aren't you giving, or you know, why aren't you bowing down? It's like the minute we decide to do something for ourselves, we're given, you know, backlash
That ugly
for it.
label.
Yeah. So I don't know, women are just expected to be givers, even though technically we're kind of the receiver. Like we should be receiving.
Yeah.
You know, spiritually, physically.
Yeah, and I think probably because we've been on our spiritual journey, we have gotten to learn about the different types of energy and just know like we should be practicing being divine and looking into our hearts for what we want to do, you know? And not looking outwardly. But it's hard because if you don't have that knowing, or if you don't have what we have, you know, like the spiritual path that we've chosen, then you go to church or whatever it is, and you have these outside forces telling you, you're supposed to be a wife. Like, I didn't raise you to be like that. I didn't raise you to be smart-mouthed and disrespectful. I didn't raise you to be selfish. I didn't raise you to talk back. You know what I mean? And so I honestly, if I still lived that way, I'm almost next to sure I would probably already be married. I would be miserable. I'd be sad. I'd probably have like...
So what do you think brought you out of that?
I think that I've always had this inner knowing, like, that I, thank God, have just never ignored. But there was a point where I was in a relationship with somebody 15 years older than me who was taking advantage of my naiveness, because I'm 20 at the time. You know,
Right.
that I don't know what the world is like.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time where marriage was asked and talked about. And I said, I don't know how I found the courage to say no both times, but I was like, no. Like, something in my spirit didn't feel good. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel right. I didn't think I was going to be happy in the long run. And I didn't want to look up one day and regret saying yes. And I think that's what's always been, like, my driving force is, like, does this feel like a hell yeah? And if it doesn't, you're going to look up one day and be upset with yourself. And I think that's what pushes me in anything. Like, pushes me to go after my goals, because I don't want to look at the back at the end of my life and realize I didn't become who it was I was supposed to become, and I didn't go after my dreams and push myself as hard as I could in that way.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of women, or maybe I would say women, especially from small towns, right, or women who are raised religious, like, they're raised to just accept that whoever comes first, right? Like, just if you're asked, like, that's it. Like,
yes,
just do it. Or, you know.
And it was weird, because I was like, what's wrong with
I
me?
guess that's, like they're raised, like, oh, that's what's supposed to happen.
Yes, and I remember, losing my virginity and being like, I have to marry this guy. Like, it's funny now, because now I have knowledge, but I didn't have knowledge back then. I just knew what I had learned in my church, And I was just like, I'm not happy. I don't know why. Something's wrong with me. Like, why do I want more? Like, why do I not see myself with this person? Because he does pay for my stuff. Like, he does everything that a husband is supposed to do.
Right.
But when we would have conversations like this, and I don't know why at 20 I was wanting to talk about unborn children that I didn't have. But I did feel like it was important, and I was just like, I want you to know, whatever life I bring into this world, regardless of whatever it is that they choose, that's my child. It came from me. I will fight like hell to protect it, And he didn't agree with my reasoning. Like, it was that cult-like thinking where it's like, no, like, if my child's like that, I will disown them. And I was like, you will not be being the father of my child.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how I just decide anything in life, is like, is this person going to be a safe space for me? Is this person going to be a safe space for my kids?
Yeah.
And if I don't feel like the answer is hell yes, then it's an absolute no.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good that you know yourself, that you know that about yourself.
Yeah.
I think we need that, because, and I have on my little notes, I have divorce as a point, because I feel like that kind of plays into, I mean, relationships, obviously.
Yeah.
But it plays into that, like, mediocrity of men. And, whenever you're a young woman and you're conditioned, you get married and you just stay in that marriage for the sake of it, for the sake of your family, for the sake of the children. And then later on, whenever you become an old woman, you might wise up and get a divorce and leave.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not the case for all relationships, but that's majority, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the divorce rate is what, like 50-50 or something, you
Yeah.
know? I don't know what the new statistic is, but that's what it was for a long time, was 50-50 chance that you'll stay together. And I think that's just because so many people don't understand what marriage is. I think they don't understand. And let me say, whenever I say marriage, I think that's an interesting concept, because to me, what I've learned, what I've gathered, is that marriage, the word marriage, it's a business contract. right? It's a piece of paper that you sign to tell the state, hey, we're together financially, our assets are linked. If something happens to one another, I want access to this person, to their rights or whatever, you know, their assets. But marriage now, modernly, it's more about love, right? Like, you don't need that piece of paper to say we're in love, because historically that piece of paper was a business contract, always has been.
Mm-hmm.
But now, modernly, we tie marriage to love.
Right.
Rather than, like I said, the business.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, I feel like, and I'm talking about straight people whenever I say this, straight people view marriage as like some kind of golden ticket. Fix it for all. Yeah, like, back to Vanderpump. Okay, Katie and Schwartz just got married. Well, fast forward to like real day time, I'm pretty sure they're already divorced or about to get divorced. Like, they're in the process. They should not have gotten married to begin with. And I have been saying that since day one, since season one. Like, they should not have gotten married.
Yes.
And the whole time you see it in their relationships, how they treat each other, the way Schwartz acts. Like, he's just so emotionally immature or something. Like, he's just, I don't know. They just bring out the worst in each other.
Right.
Okay. And yeah, they get married, and I guess they kind of think like it's gonna fix it all, right? And they don't realize that like the whole relationship, the whole time, whether you're married or not, it was there. It's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have to work for it. It's still a relationship no matter what.
Yes.
Whether you have that piece of paper or not. It's still the same relationship. You're still the same people.
Yes.
So I don't understand what this concept of marriage is supposed to be that these straight people are talking about.
Right.
Or even trying to gatekeep. My God.
Nobody wants your stinky marriage. No, I think that, like you said, it is so weird, the concept of marriage, because to me, and again, I don't know where I got it from. I just kind of, it's like an inner knowing, you know? Marriage does not solve problems. It only amplifies them.
Yeah.
You cannot get into a marriage with communication problems already, like, at the door and thinking that's going to solve it.
Or whenever couples go into a marriage and they don't, like, they're iffy about, like, one of them wants kids and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
And they think that they're eventually going to reach compromise.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like when people tell you exactly what it is that they want, believe them.
Yeah.
Because you cannot, love is not control. Like, you cannot tell somebody who it is that they need to be in relation to you. You can extend grace, you know, to let that person be who it is that they want to be. And if that's who you say you're going to love, you need to allow that person to be exactly what it is that they're saying they want to be. You cannot go in trying to be like, oh, Daryl, like, I want you to work on this. When Daryl straight out the gate said, girl, I never wanted kids.
Yeah.
But you've tried to fit him into your version of what love and marriage should look like.
Yeah.
I think that with marriage, it has kind of been looked at like this thing that should be the same always, you know? Because I've always said, if somebody doesn't make me happy at some point, I will leave that marriage. I don't care that there's kids involved. Like, as long as which is why I fight so hard for my own financial freedom and stability, because I never want to be trapped into being with somebody else just because I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
But, I was like, I'll walk away. Like, the second somebody isn't making me happy, I'm out. And I'm not expecting that person to, you know, fulfill all of my emotional needs, because it's my job as an adult to regulate myself. But if I feel like you're not even meeting me halfway to work out our relational problems, that's when I have to say, okay, you're telling me who you are. I have to walk away from my own sanity. And it is kind of looked at like, that's against God. Like, you're not supposed to leave your marriage. Like, you're supposed to fight to the end. You have to fight for those kids.
For why?
For why? Because how a mother loves herself and the self-esteem and the self-respect that she has for herself, that's how a kid learns. That her version of love for herself is what is going to be given to that child. And when moms tell themselves, like, oh, I did it for my kids, like, your kids are seeing you sacrifice in a way that's not healthy. They're going to learn that, and they're going to go out into the world and think that's how it is supposed to be.
Mm.
And no, I want my daughters to see somebody that pushed the envelope and somebody that's educated and somebody that is in love with life and has a zest for life and has love in her heart for people and is giving people a safe space. And I want my sons to respect the women that they encounter because they're not there to sexually gratify them. Like, those women get to exist as their own beings. And I just feel like when you stay or you put yourself into boxes just because you feel like that's what a wife should do or that's what a mother should do, you do cause harm to your kids in that kind of way. Whether people like to admit it or not. Like, there are people that go to therapy because of the divorce chaos that happened within their parents' love situation, and it's traumatized them within their own situation. So I feel like, you can't stay in something when it's not making you happy anymore. You have to be willing to walk away, and I think that's just another way that society traps women into unhappiness in a way, because men, they're allowed to step out on their marriages. They're forgiven from each other. It is like, man, like,
Women should cheat more.
yeah. Because
wives start cheating.
Yeah, because what happens is, you think about it like, okay, a man will come to you and they'll be like, I want a wife that's traditional. I want somebody that can cook. I want her to bear my children. I want her to work still because I can't do 100%. I can't pay all the bills. And if I do, I want to abuse her financially and so I can tell her what she can and can't do. I don't want to see my wife get fat and be a human, because if I'm not attracted to her and I can't get any sexual gratification from her anymore, I should be allowed to cheat on her. And I don't know why men hear that and they're like, yeah, that works. Like, that's actually, that's the way it should be for women, when it comes to relation to me as a man. And if you're confused on why women don't want the relationship with you, it's because there isn't this human empathy that should be there for women from men. All there is like, what can I get from this woman? What can she give me? How can she reassure me? How can she fit into my life? Versus how can I show up as the best partner to her?
Yeah, and that reminds me of another TikTok that I've seen, but this was a while ago. It was this man. He was like, I think his account is kind of like, I don't know what to say. He's a reformed man. Okay, so he's like a man who's like is learning about feminism, basically, or learning just how men, the patriarchy hurts women, kind of.
Right.
Essentially, is the vibe of his channel.
Yes.
His page, whatever. He made a really good point. He was telling a story about how he got checked by another man in his life who whenever he was young, he said something about he wants a wife and kids. And the man said, no, you want to be a husband and a father.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Right.
These men want a wife and kids. They want to own. They want to dominate, rather than showing up and serving and actually being a provider.
Yeah.
Being a husband and a father.
Yeah.
I want to be a husband and a father. That's what I want for my life.
Yes.
And that's such a telling, that was such a good, simple point. That's such a good tell for men whenever you're dating, you know, I guess try to find that in a man. Is he going to say, I want to be a husband and a father, or I want a wife and kids? Because I think about our guy friends, you know, David specifically. I feel like he's a really good example of that, of he wanted to be a husband and a father.
Yeah.
Right. I know he was so happy to be a father and to find a woman that he can be a husband to, right?
Yeah.
That he can take care of and have his little family dream with, right?
Right.
And that's so admirable. Like, I love having a straight man in my life that that, you know?
Honestly, having the men that we have in our life as friends really healed my view of men.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I really think the worst of you guys.
Yeah, and I feel like Juan does such a good job of doting on Zale and taking care of her.
He's so emotionally supportive of her.
Yes, and he lets her be herself.
Yes.
And he doesn't at all cloud her accomplishments at all. You know, like her accomplishments are all her own. You know?
Yeah. Our friend Zale just had a birthday, and you should see. I wish you could have saw him being her like personal hype man, like him taking pictures of her, him being like, okay, get over here in front of your balloons. The fact that, at which I did clown him on, because he's also a Gemini too, so we're very like all over the place.
Yeah.
But this man made like an invitation invite, and it actually looked professional looking, and I was like, not Carlos helped
he
you.
planned her like a little. It was supposed to be a surprise, but he ended up telling her. But he planned her like a little birthday dinner party night. Yeah.
Had drinks set up, had cake, had a backdrop. Yes. And I'm not saying like overhype that, but it really is like the intentionality that goes into what he did, because they're in school, like they're very busy people. And I think that men think that you have to do this over the top, like, showing of love and affection. But really, it is just intentionality, showing a woman that she's appreciated and that you love her. And, having our friends has really made me question my view, because I think I just wanted to be right and that be it. And that's not the way that this has gone at all.
But, I do feel like, as... I'm going to call you a straight woman just because I feel like that's
who
you are. How you identify. That's all I've seen from you.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're in the trenches nowadays. Like,
right.
I think because we live in a time where we are afforded all of these equities and privileges as a woman. And then on the flip side, we're just not seeing men meet our level.
Right.
In such a high capacity, right? Like, it's like you're weeding through all of these trash. Yes, all these trash men to find like those few little diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
Right?
And it sucks because I feel like I'm not even putting myself out there in a way. Like, I just kind of... not really given up, but I'm just like, when it happens, it happens. But I feel like I'm emotionally validated by the women that I have in my life. I feel fulfilled every day that I can get up and work at something. And with what I was telling Maya, I know I'm not supposed to look at men as evil, but I do look at them that way because I know that if I gave them the opportunity, they would exploit me for my body. They would exploit me for what I could give them. They would take advantage of the fact that I have an open heart and an open hand. And it's almost like you have to be discerning and super walled off, because men aren't natural givers as much as that's being told to us. They're natural takers. They will take whatever they can get if you allow it to happen. And I think that my greatest fear, it's not even really intimacy, because I feel like if I felt safe enough to do it, I could do it. But it's more so like I don't want to get got. Like, I don't want to look down the road and realize that I got into a marriage with an abuser. Because I've heard stories like that where a man can play the long game so long that when he finally gets
like
you...
You're like a woman who watches too much Dateline or like murder podcasts. Like, you're like traumatized by other people's trauma.
Well, it's not even just that. It's more so like when you're not involved in certain experiences and you sit back and you kind of, like you said a couple of episodes ago, when you can see through the illusions.
Mhm.
I've worked a lot of male-dominated industries.
Yeah.
I know.
You are around a lot of men.
I know who they are when their wives aren't there. And they're sick. If they could...
They're sick.
Yeah. Honestly, like a man, even if it's like for 2 seconds flirting with the girl that's at the counter...
Yeah.
They'll do it to get some type of ego stroke.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back to their wife that's sitting in the car. It's stuff like that where, okay, you could say you're being nice, but really there's a thin line between being friendly and being overly, like, flirty. You know what I mean? And I think that if a woman were to say, like, hey, like, the door's open, like, you know, like, come by whenever you're done, he would take it.
Yeah.
Men are only as faithful as their options in a lot of ways. And it's because he doesn't know if that woman is just being friendly or if she's being flirty. He doesn't know if that woman will call HR for him making those inappropriate comments, but he wants to. He wants to be in friendship with that woman so he can say slick things and be like, I was just kidding.
Yeah.
Because they're naturally testing our boundaries anyway to see if we're gonna to hold up. And I know that sounds like, oh, she's waiting for the boogeyman, but I've been around them long enough to know that even just being friendly to one for too long, they'll go and spin a story. They'll go back and talk to their male co-workers and counterparts and be like, did you see the way she looked at me? I had one guy at my job here recently. One of my favorite sweaters is a green sweater that says Hawaii. You've seen it multiple times. It literally is like my comfort sweater. And it's my favorite shirt to wear. And one time he complimented me and he was like, that's a really nice color on you. Like, you should wear that color more often. Not knowing that this is my favorite sweater. I'm wearing this sweater for me. Because it feels like a hug.
Right, yeah.
Goes back and tells all of these truck drivers, you see she's wearing that sweater for me? You see? And so I don't even speak to him anymore because it's like little stuff like that where even when a man is dating a woman, he's not looking at like, oh, like, how could she like me? Like, what does she see in me? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not that guy. He starts boosting his own ego. He's like, I know I'm that guy. Like, of course she loves me.
Yeah, and I've had a similar conversation with Jocelyn because, I mean, you know, she's a bartender, she's a server, she interacts, or she often has men, single men, married men, whatever, in her vicinity.
Right. And Jocelyn is beautiful.
Yeah, who she has to serve and talk to.
Yeah.
And she's very friendly, and she's even, you know, she's very friendly. She's Southern. Everyone's baby, everyone's honey. Hello. This is Texas.
Yeah.
This is Texas, and she's gay. You're baby and honey.
Yeah.
Right? So she's had men, like, comment, like, oh, don't call me that, or I'm going to start liking you. Like, things like
that. Little sick
and I'm just
things.
like,
my God, you people cannot experience basic fucking human decency without getting a boner.
Yeah.
Shut up. Literally shut the fuck up. Like, why is me just being a normal human being, like,
sexualized?
Yes,
Automatically.
sexualized automatically just because I'm a beautiful woman?
I said something once to one of the ex-coworkers that I had. His wife was gorgeous. She literally looked like a goddess.
Yeah.
It was like, your wife is so beautiful.
Yeah.
He said, thanks. Do you want to join a throuple?
Of course. Of course.
I was just
I knew you were going to say that. No,
so uncomfortable.
You see my face? Not surprised.
The way my jaw stayed in place. No, I just was so, like, it makes you uncomfortable. Like, I really didn't know what to do in that moment because it's like, ew, that's so gross. You're, like, way older than me. And the fact that you, like, that was your thought when I was saying this about your wife, disgusting. Like, and that's what I'm saying. It's not really that I want to look at men as evil people, because I don't think that, you know, at the core of them, I don't think that they won't think they're evil. And I do think that there are some men in the world that can do good and want to do good and want to do right by women. But at the core of them, they're so driven by that masculinity, which is like, hey, I need to hump things.
Yeah.
And that is how, I feel, yeah, like maybe in a way, in a lot of ways, how we feel like we're forced into roles, like they are too. They've been...
That's my point. Like, the patriarchy does hurt men too.
It does. And it's why they have such high suicide rates, like not feeling like they can express their emotions.
Stupid. Okay, maybe I shouldn't call it stupid. Whatever. I guess I'll validate men's feelings. This whole male loneliness epidemic that they're trying to make up, you caused it. Who set the system up?
Right.
Who set the system up?
Yes.
You.
And when that conversation does come around, I am like...
each other whenever you cry. Maybe stop doing that.
Yeah. Whenever that conversation does come up, I'm like, okay, you could change it. Like, you could actually...
I have this much empathy for you.
Yeah.
And if you're on audio, my fingers are very close to each other.
But yeah, I feel bad, but not that bad. I feel more bad for myself as a woman, because I have to live that experience of basically catering to you in a way. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's why I'm on the, like, always kind of scared that I'm going to get got, because men have been socialized to be these takers and to be these people in society that get their validation by how many women that they can lay down. Yeah. And it's disgusting. I know that is the way it is, and I'm not trying to change anybody else. I just want to protect myself. Yeah. And it's just scary to think about, like, being in relationship with them. I kind of am like Maya. I go back and forth between, nah, dog, that ain't for me. Like, I don't know if I want to do the mommy thing, but right. I do love kids.
You do like kids. I mean, for me, it's also physically like, sorry, I don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to give birth. I just don't want to experience that. I'm small. I'm a small person. Yeah. I think that I would rip my hair out being pregnant. I think that would be the most agonizing thing I could put myself through.
You know what I just thought of? What? Did you ever read Twilight, the books?
No.
Okay, so, like, they give you, like, the...
I hate myself. I'm just kidding.
They give you, like, the picture version, like, the word version of, like, Bella being pregnant with Renesmee.
Yeah, but that's a demon. She's pregnant with a vampire demon.
But it talks about how she's so little.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so painful. Yeah. And so I do kind of... I don't know why I pictured that with you being pregnant, but I would probably imagine...
That would be me.
The belly would be... It'd be hard to carry.
I feel like I would be so uncomfortable and so miserable that I wouldn't even be able to enjoy, like, being pregnant or giving birth or being a mother or having a baby. Like, I just think that experience would break me mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Like, I don't think I can do that. And and I think that's an important thing to recognize, because if
Buzz with his hair.
If I
our mascot.
Yeah, seriously. If I don't think I can do it, why would I force myself to do it? Because then I wouldn't be a very good mother. Yeah. I wouldn't be giving all I could to this child that I just brought into the world, because I would be too, in my own misery. Yeah.
And I do think that, it's good that you know that about yourself, because children are not easy. Like, even I think having a niece has made me realize how hard it is to be a parent. But how much I do want to do it one day, because I love that little girl. I
And
want to
that's good.
hold her so
Yeah.
much, you know?
Yeah.
But
And you could do it. You're physically built for it.
yeah, honestly, I think of The Sound of Music, like with Julia Roberts.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I'm her, like running
Why?
around with kids and being
Oh my
like,
God.
"Don't like, I know it won't be like that because it will be stressful. A lot of I at most can do 2 kids, like that's
But
it.
you know what?
I really think that the child reflects the parents, obviously, but especially whenever they're young,
Right.
like baby, toddler, child, like you reflect your parent, your environment most of all. So I think if you're chill, they'll be kind of chill.
Right.
If you're set in yourself and set in your ways and your routine and you're sure and you're confident.
Yeah, that's why I don't feel like it will happen anytime like
Right.
within the next 2 decades. I feel like I'll probably become a mom if I do become a mom.
You're just a 27-year-old child bride.
Yeah, like I'll be like in 38, 40 something,
Okay.
like thinking about kids.
Pushing menopause.
No, I don't think
kidding.
I don't think I'll be able to carry just because everything has kind of come late in life for me.
Okay.
So
You
I
think-
Children will come late.
yeah.
I mean,
And
women
hubby.
have
Children whenever they're in their 30s,
Yeah.
in their late 30s.
Even if it doesn't
It can
come
be a bit
physically,
more,
yeah,
yeah.
like I would be willing to adopt. I would be willing to think about other options.
right.
But I don't think it's gonna come right now because there is so much that I still feel like I have to learn and experience
Mhm.
before I can be a mommy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if that is the path that I have. But yeah, I feel like it really is such a cool thing to do, to say like, hey, like, actually no, like, fuck that, those kids are a lot, because they are. They talk back, they're smart mouth.
Yeah.
You sometimes want to shove them into the dirt,
No, for real.
and you can't because CPS would be involved real quick. But yeah, it does take I feel like somebody that would want to do it, and I don't like that people make other people feel like crap for not wanting to do it,
Yeah.
because half of y'all had kids and y'all
And you're not doing
did the
good.
bare minimum. Y'all just gave, shelter and food and threw that up in your kid's face every single time your kid was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't there emotionally for that child. You didn't invest in their hobbies. You didn't invest in their interests. You did the bare minimum. And you get mad at people for saying, hey, like, nope, I can't.
Yeah.
I'd rather that happen than the child be neglected.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
those weirdos.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to go and end it there. We're at 1:38. So,
Woo!
all right, ladies and ladies.
I
I feel
and
like
ladies and our guy Buzz.
yeah, Buzz, our little mascot. All right. Thanks for tuning in this week.
Thanks for
Bye.
watching. Bye.